but I was working for my mom today, and I was like sitting at her studio, like not really doing anything, and then I ended up writing down this like list on like this realtor notepad thing. I wrote a couple lists about, it started with like me writing down inspirations for this month, and then I started just writing notes to myself. So like for inspirations, I've had a whole lot of inspirations this month. I've been thinking a lot about like things that I've, like sort of my all-time favorites, and then like I've been exposed to a lot of new stuff, and I've seen a lot of things in like a new light. Like I reapproached a lot of the things that I had seen. I reapproached some things that I had seen before, and I like really, really enjoyed them in a way that I hadn't before. So, two big ladies that have like pretty consistently been like huge inspirations for me are Grace Jones and Kate Bush. I've been listening to so much of their music just within these last 2 months, and but like through July specifically, and then now it's the beginning of August, so I've just continued to listen to them. But wow, like fantastic, like oh, just the documentation of them too, like their music videos and like all the photos of them and like the editorials they're in are so incredible and so beautiful, and they're just really vibrant women. Like I really love them a whole lot, and they've pretty consistently been like huge inspirations for me. Something I talked about so much this month, because I was meeting so many new people, I was talking a lot about My Own Private Idaho, which is my favorite movie ever. Directed by Gus Van Sant, came out in 1991, I think. It was like the first like bigger budget movie out of the new queer cinema movement. It may have been the only big budget movie out of the new queer cinema movement, but wow, so good. I could literally talk about this movie forever. It resonates with me so much, but for reasons that are kind of like, there's no like direct connections where it's like, yes, I went through this same experience and I relate to this character now. It's like, so the story and the characters are so apart from everything. Like there's no similarities in our lives whatsoever, or like any common experiences. But I relate so deeply to like the main character, and like this movie resonates with me for like so much, but for no like real distinguishable reason, which I think is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because it's just like this thing that like is so, it affects me so much, but I can't exactly place it why. I can't like relate it to other things, so it's a totally unique experience, and just like so good, so good. I love Idaho. I've been talking about it a lot. Some of the films that I like got to revisit this month were like during CSSA. We watched them in a theater, and it was like like so incredible, and I just like saw it in a totally new light. But Lazy Days by Brian Smee, so good, so absolutely fantastic. I love Brian Smee's work so much. I'm so thankful I got to like work with him like this whole last month. Like he's just such a nice dude. He's a really nice dude. But Lazy Days has been like huge inspiration for me, like while I was working on hemangioma, and like while like all throughout hemangioma I was like really thinking about Lazy Days a whole lot, and like some of the things that Brian talked to me about was like big influence on the things that I was doing during July. But also Allison Sholnick, Eager by Allison Sholnick. I saw it in the theater. I had seen it several times before and I liked it, but seeing it in that theater, and it just like super like overwhelmed me and just kind of like absorbed me for like this whole like 7 minutes or however long it is, and I was just like in this like atmosphere that this film created for me, and like it was such a unique experience, and like I can't even believe it affected me as much as it did. It was so powerful. And I talked a lot with Allegra afterwards, and that's her like favorite animation, one of her favorite animations at least, and we talked a long time about like the effect of that, and like we had a really long conversations about like these like moments that just like, wow, like I have so much clarity now, and I'm just like really overwhelmed. And that's like how I felt when I watched Mound. It was like watching Eager and Mound were like, both of them are films by Allison Shulnick. Lemon's final film, he was one of my friends. He was also a student at csssa Animation 2016, and his final film was so overwhelming and so incredible. That was one of the ones where I was just like, it did like the same thing where I was just like absorbed into it for like the 3 minutes, and I started crying when it was over. Like, I was so overwhelmed and so like, it was a similar experience to Idaho where it was like, I didn't know actually what was happening, and I had no clue what the story was behind it until afterwards when I asked him about it. But it had such a big impact on me for like a completely unknown reason. Like, there was no like, yes, these are relatable things that I can connect to these things to, which relate to my emotions. It was just like all new and like all like just a new and like genuine experience, and like, it's so good. It's so good. Lemon is so talented. Some painters and artists I've been thinking about a lot recently were looking at lots of Mobius. I have been thinking about Mobius a whole lot like this last month. I love Mobius. Thinking about David Hockney's portraits, which I didn't even know. I had seen his like abstract stuff a whole lot, and I liked that a lot. And then Sean Buckley, one of our teachers, showed us like a ton of David Hockney portraits, and they're so beautiful, and I love his stuff. And then also Egon Schiele, who's like been kind of an all-time favorite along with like Mobius. They're like have kind of always been there. So good. Love Egon Schiele. Really, really great time. Ooh, love his portraits. And he's so like, it's so modern. All of his work is like really, really modern, but it was made in like the like 20s most of the time, and it's like, or 20s or like 40s whenever he was. But he's so good. I don't think it was the 40s. I'm pretty sure it was like the early 1900s, but he's so incredible. I love Egon. Something else that was, I talked about this, it was when me and Allegra were having a conversation about her first time ever being to LA. We talked about Daisies, which is it's a 1960s Czechoslovakian film. It was like part of the Czech New Wave, I think. Really, really fun, really great film. I've been thinking about that a lot recently too, and I was told by two different people that my final film reminded them of Daisies. So that was, Hemangioma like reminded them of Daisies, which is so exciting because I love Daisies and it's such a big influence. But yeah, those have been my really big inspirations for this month.